Good morning, everybody. It is 9:04. I apologize for running just a little bit behind schedule. I wanted to be on here by 9. Today, we are going to be covering, in the spirit of what we were talking about yesterday, where we had a private money lender. Today, I'm going to be breaking down a deal on how to use hard money, right? So we hear it all the time about how people are able to purchase a property, no money out of their pocket, and how they did it. And so I want to walk people through it because a lot of times it's just a mindset thing where people, they don't really think that something like that is possible. So we're going to break a deal down and we're going to go through it, and that's going to be today's training. Now, let me go live on our Facebook group. Give me just 1 second. Let me make sure that we're live. And sorry, I know I'm looking at two screens. I've got two different things happening at the same time. Okay. All right, and we're going to put this on Fistful of Dragons. For some reason, it's not allowing me to share on my group page anymore, which is really, really strange. Like our dispo doesn't show up on the group, which is weird. So I will just put it onto our page, which kind of stinks. That is really weird. I'm gonna have to check and see why that is happening. So I'm gonna put a note in there because they are not showing up in the group anymore. Okay. So let me take a look at what's going on. I am sorry about the hiccups. Let me see what's going on here. And it looks like we are live on our page. I'm just checking. Yeah. All right. So we're live on our page, but we are not live on our group for whatever reason, and I'm not sure why. But I just posted no notification. So, got it. Okay. So today we're going to talk about how to purchase a property with no money out of pocket, literally no money out of pocket, and how to structure that kind of a deal. Yesterday, I had a guest on our show. His name was Brian Madsen. He is a private money lender. Now, Brian, in particular, is a private money lender that typically lends in second and third and maybe even fourth place. And what that means is that typically when there's a loan, there is a primary loan, and the primary loan is either going to be two things. It's either going to be your own money, right, your own cash, or it's going to be a hard money loan, or it's going to be some type of traditional financing. That's typically how it's going to work. Now, in our example for today, what we're talking about is how to do this with absolutely no money out of your pocket whatsoever, none. So we're going to assume then that if you find an opportunity, what you're going to do is you're going to go and you're going to try to look for a hard money lender. Now, there are some private money lenders that will lend on the entire transaction. There are, but it depends on the price point. And so the higher the price point, the more expensive the entry fee is, the less likely you're going to get a private money lender to be able to do the entire deal. you're probably going to get a hard money lender. But again, it really just depends on who your contacts are. So if you have a good network, and if you're out there and you're talking to people and you're looking for private money lenders and you're looking to see who will fund deals, there are private money lenders that will do the entire transaction as opposed to a hard money lender and then having a private money lender as the second position to finance the difference. If you're going to use a hard money lender, traditionally, they're going to probably lend you between 15 to 30%. Excuse me, I would say 75 to, yeah, probably 70 to maybe 85% of the transaction. And that's of the after repaired value. So what's going to happen is when you're going out there and you're looking for a hard money lender, you're going to present them the opportunity. You're going to present them the property. You're going to have to show them what your comparables are. You're probably going to have at least some type of history that you can reference for when you're doing flips. Okay, so assuming that you're going to purchase this property and you're going to flip it, you're going to have to show them that you have some type of experience. Now, how do you get around that? So if you say, Paul, I have zero experience, I haven't flipped any properties, I haven't purchased any properties, I don't know how to do this whatsoever. Well, the next best thing is that for you to then partner up with someone that does have that experience. So you go find a flipper that has that experience, you partner up with them, you create some type of an equity partnership, some type of a joint venture partnership where that you guys determine what the split is going to be after profits, and then you rely on their history, on their transaction history, on their experience, on their resume of what they've done in the past. The purchase is probably going to be under your mentor or your team members corporation. Typically, that's how most investors do it. They create some type of a corporation, or they use a corporation that has had experience in flipping. So now you purchase that property under that corporation. And then what you do is you have some type of, again, equity split agreement, profit split agreement, joint venture agreement with that partner. So you know that once the property is sold, you understand explicitly how the profits are going to be split up. And then you go and you find that hard money loan. Now, if you do it that way and you have a mentor, then chances are they're going to have contacts in the hard money space. Chances are they're going to know someone that is going to be able to finance the transaction. The better the deal, the easier it is to find hard money lenders. The easier it is to find private money lenders, because when they see that you have an attractive deal, they understand that they have equity. They understand that they have leverage. They understand that you're going to perform, because if you don't perform, then what they'll do is they'll try to foreclose on the property. They'll take the property back, and then they can sell it, and then they can make a profit. So that's how they're looking at it. The more attractive your deal is, the more likely that you're going to be able to find a hard money lender and a private money lender. Now, let's just assume that. Let's assume that you have had a few sales under your belt. Let's assume that you've completed a few projects under your belt. So now you're going out and you're looking for a hard money lender, and usually they want at least 3 properties that they can reference as a resume, as an example of your ability to fix, flip, and sell a property for some type of a profit. Now, here's the deal. People will ask me, well, how are they going to verify that? It's pretty simple, right? Because all they have to do is, if you give them an address, they can go back and they can check the transaction history of that address. They can go check the county records to see what is sold. And then they will see your name or your corporation's name on there as one of the owners somewhere in the chain of history in the last 12 months. So typically in the last 12 months, a hard money lender wants to see at least 3 sales that were completed that you did as a fix and flip opportunity. That's what they want to see. They want to see the date that you acquired them, and they'll see the price, because this is all recorded in county records. So they want to see the price in which it was acquired, and then they want to see the price, and they're going to see the price at which you sold it for. So they'll have a rough idea of what those numbers are, and they'll have a rough idea of what your experience level is like once you provide them with those 3 addresses. Now, if you have more than 3 addresses, fantastic, right? Because the more addresses that you can provide, the more that you can demonstrate that you are capable and that you are knowledgeable in this arena, the more likely they are to fund the transaction. And more importantly, the more likely they are to give you more money. So that's how you're able to get, there's some people, I was having lunch with someone yesterday who's working on projects, and he is getting 90% hard money. So the hard money lenders are lending him up to 90%. And then what he's doing is he's finding 10% private money lenders to be in second position, right? First position is the hard money lender. Second position is the private money lender. And then the private money lender is then lending the 10%. So the more experienced you are, the better your resume, the more you can demonstrate that you can do this, the higher the hard money lenders are going to lend. Now, getting 90% is not easy. I don't want people leaving this or watching this video to think that, just because they have a track record, they're going to be able to get 90%. There's a lot of different things that affect how much hard money lenders are going to be willing to lend. As interest rates go up and as money starts to tighten and the economy starts to shift, hard money lenders tend to want to lend a little bit less. Right now, if you're brand new, you're more than likely going to get 70%, maybe 80%, and the really good investors, the really good flippers, are probably going to get about 85%, and roughly that's what we're able to get right now. So 85% of the ARV, the after repaired value, is typically what you're going to get. So that means that you're going to have to explain to the hard money lender how much you think this property is worth in its present condition, how much you think the property is going to sell for after it has been repaired. Now, mind you, the hard money lender is still going to go out there and they're still going to go and get an appraisal. They're going to do their own appraisal on it, and they're going to run their own numbers, and they're going to research it anyway. But if you provide it to them, at least it helps them have some idea of what's going on at the very beginning, and it does speed up the process, right? Because again, the more attractive the deal is, the more likely the deal is going to be done, the faster that they're going to move anyway. But they're going to do their research. So they will run their own appraisal to compare what you are telling them versus what they discover on their own. So they need to know what it's worth presently. They need to know what it's going to be worth after it has been repaired. And based on that after repaired value, then you're going to be able to get a hard money loan based on the percentage that they offer you. It could be, like I said, anywhere between 70% up to 90%, depending on who your contacts are. But let's assume that you get it in 80%. And then let's run some rough numbers just so that you could have an idea of what I'm talking about. So let's say we're purchasing a property for $500,000, and you think that it's probably going to be worth $750,000 once the property has been repaired, right? So you're acquiring it at $500,000. It's probably going to be worth $700,000, and let's say that there's about $75,000 in repair. That's a pretty good margin, right? Because you're getting it at $500,000. There's $75,000 in repairs. You're now in it at $575,000. You've got about $125,000 worth of potential equity, potential profits, before having to pay all the expenses, because there are going to be some expenses. So I want to make sure that you're prepared for this and so that you understand. You present this to the hard money lender. The hard money lender says, you know what, this seems pretty accurate. This is what we're going to do. We are going to lend you 80% of the ARV and the repairs. So what that will come out to is roughly $700,000 times the 80%. And if you do that right, I'm going to check my calculator real quick. It's 560,000, right? I shouldn't have to do that, but 700 times 0.8 is 560,000. So the hard money lender is going to lend you $560,000 on this property so that you can purchase it, fix it, and then sell it for a profit. Now, what are the fees that they're going to charge? They are probably going to charge you some points. And points is really just commissions. So they're going to charge you a percentage of the loan. So if they're going to lend you $560,000, then they're probably going to charge you a minimum of 2 points. Now, some hard money lenders will be able to they'll say, I'll only charge you 1 point. But again, in order to get those benefits, you probably have to have a pretty good track record. You probably have to have a pretty good resume, or you have to have a partner that has those things so that they can reference it. Most of the time, they're going to charge you about 2 points. In some cases, depending on the deal, they may charge you as high as 3 or even 4 points. These are all negotiable. This is all negotiable. You have to keep that in mind. So as an investor, when a hard money lender, a hard money broker comes to you and they tell you, well, we're going to be charging you 4 points for that, understand that that is still negotiable. There is a minimum that the hard money broker has to meet or has to charge, but they can try to negotiate as high as they want, and you can negotiate as well. So if someone says to you, we want 4 points for this transaction, how much does that come out to? 4 points of 560 times 0.04 That's $22,000. That's $22,000 in commissions that you are paying to that hard money broker to be able to facilitate this loan. So you want to try to negotiate as best you can. You can go back to the hard money lender and say, hey, listen, I can't do it. I can only do it at 2.5 points. And you can see what their response is. Some will say yes, some will say no. But there is at least a minimum percentage that hard money brokers are going to charge. They have minimum standards, just like any other organization. They want to be a profitable business. That could be 1 point, that could be 2 points. I don't know, but you can negotiate it. Let's just assume, for the sake of this example, that we're able to get it at 3 points. 560 times 0.03 is 16,800. So now you're going to have to be able to come up with $17,000. And remember that you're still going to have to come up with the remaining 20%. The 20%, because they're only financing, the hard money lenders only financing 80%, the 560. So now let's just go over numbers. You're in it for 560, right? That's the hard money loan. Then you got to pay $17,000 for the loan. So now you're in it $577,000. But you're purchasing it for $500,000, right? So you need the 70, and I didn't say all right. I got to stop saying right. So right now we're in it $577,000, but you still need the remaining 20%. Where do you get that from? You get that from a private money lender. So you present the same package to a private money lender, and you explain to the private money lender that I need, out of 700,000 times 0.2, you need $140,000 to be able to finish this project, plus $17,000. So we're now at 147 plus 17. You need another 17 to be able to cover the points. Now, you may or may not have that. And if you don't have that, then you prep the private money lender so that they can help you cover that expense. And you're going to need money for the closing costs, right? Keep in mind, you're still going to have closing costs. Closing costs are typically 1% of the purchase price. So in this case, if we're purchasing it for $500,000 on contract, then you're probably going to need another $5,000. So plus 5, now we're at 169. So let's recap real quick, because some of you are looking at this and you're saying to yourself, where's he getting all these numbers if I'm purchasing the property for $500,000? Remember, we started with $500,000. So what we're saying is that the property is being purchased for $500,000, Paul, and you're telling me that the hard money lender is going to lend me $560,000, and the private money lender has to lend me $170,000. And when you add those two up, 560 plus 170, you get 730, and that's correct. You're going to need $730,000 potentially for this project in order to get it funded. Why? Well, number one, you need the money to purchase it, so that's 500. Now you're down to 230. Then you need the 75 for the repairs. Then you're going to need the $17,000 for your for the points for the loan. Then you're going to need $5,000 for the for the closing costs. So you're going to need all these expenses, and the remaining portion is the potential equity. Now, you do not get this money for the repairs. You do not get this money up front. So when you get a hard money loan, the way it works is that it works in the form of draws. So when you purchase the property and you close, the hard money lender is going to finance 80% of the ARV, and you're still going to need the remaining 20% from a private money lender to be able to facilitate the transaction. And you're only going to be able to have access to that money as the repairs are made. So here's how this works. Now that I've gone over the numbers, you close on the transaction, you have the money. The money is typically available through the private money lenders. So any money that they're giving to you, through the whoever's lending you the money. So for instance, the hard money lender says, I'm giving you only 80% of the $75,000 to make those repairs. So really, you're looking at about $60,000. They're giving you $60,000 to make the repairs out of the 75. That money is held in escrow and is released to you as the repairs are made. So when you close a transaction, you don't get all this money up front to be able to make the repairs. Now, in some cases, depending on your hard money relationship with that hard money lender, they may allow you to have access to all that money to do the repairs. I've seen that happen in some rare cases. Most of the time, they keep the money in an escrow account. It could be the same escrow account or the same title account that you used when you close a transaction, and then that money is slowly released to you in the form of draws. So what happens is you make some repairs, you request an inspection, the hard money lender comes and does an inspection, checks to see that you've done those repairs, they give you the money back for those repairs, and then you continue making more repairs, and you keep asking for inspections, they do the repairs, they come back, they inspect, they give you more money to complete the project. That is typically how it works. Now, here's the thing. There are costs. Every time they come and do an inspection, this is what they may or may not tell you, or you should know about this, and that's why I'm sharing this with you. You are going to be charged anywhere between, I don't know, $200 to $500 every time they send an inspection. That's a fee that a lot of hard money lenders will charge for you to get your draws. What this means then is that you want to have these inspections and these draws. You want to make sure that you maximize them so that you don't have to keep requesting more money. So try to get as much of the project done as you can when you request the inspection, because when they go do the inspection, what's going to happen is, number one, they're going to charge you $400 or $500, and then number two, you have to wait a few days for them to inspect, acknowledge what you've completed, and then they give you more money so that you can continue working on the project until you complete everything, and then they give you whatever money was allocated for those repairs. So that's typically how it's going to work. Where does a private money lender come in? Well, remember, you needed that money so that you could start some of these repairs. And assuming that you're coming, when I started this training, I said that you're going to be able to do this with no money out of pocket. So what that means then is that the private money lender is going to give you money so that you can initiate these repairs right away. Then you complete as much of the project as you can. Then you request an inspection from the hard money lender. The hard money lender comes, completes the inspection, approves it, releases more money, and now it starts this domino effect where you're now able to make repairs, request for more money, make upgrades, request for more money, etc., etc. That is the process. Now, if you do this correctly, and if you have a good team of general contractors and you have a good team of people who are working on the property for you, you should be able to complete a project roughly within about 45 to 60 to 90 days. Sometimes there's delays. What we've discovered is that if you have to go out and get permits for property, then you can anticipate that the project is probably going to be a lot longer, which is one of the reasons that I tell people who are brand new that if you are looking at a property for a potential fix and flip, that you probably want to avoid the 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom homes. You probably want to go after the 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom homes, because in those cases, all you have to do is just remodel the property. Maybe make some reconfigurations of walls, maybe move some things, maybe make some closets smaller, whatever. The point is that a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home is typically a bread and butter home that is bought and sold regularly. So when you're dealing with smaller homes like a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom home, if you're going to risk purchasing that property, then you better make sure that you're also getting it at a much more aggressive price if you're going to fix and flip it, because those are harder to sell. The more attractive homes are the 3-bedrooms, 2-bathroom homes. Those are, what we call bread and butter homes that are typically bought and sold regularly, based on the average size of a family, based on average number of people that are going to be living there. So 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom homes are probably going to be the easiest fix and flip opportunities for you, because you just go in there and remodel it. Whereas if you get a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and you want to add a bedroom, add a bathroom, then you're going to run into challenges, because now you're adding square footage, you're going to have to get permits, and it just delays the work. And every month that you're not on the market, or every month that you're not sold, what happens is you incur additional fees. You incur additional fees, you incur additional interest, and so you really want to make sure that you get these properties bought, fixed, flipped, and sold within 60 to 90 days, if at all possible. If not, 120 to 150 days is normal. Right? Try not to go beyond 4 to 6 months. You don't want to do that. And the best way to do that is to purchase properties that already meet the demand of what other people are already looking for, which is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom homes. Now, there's going to be people that are going to say, well, Paul, but what about the properties where it has a big enough lot where you can add square footage, or what if you can just add an ADU? And that's great. You can do that. And I will tell you, though, that there's going to be more time required in order to get those projects fixed. And it does take more time, and you may make more money, but it is still a drain on the bank account having to make those monthly payments to those hard money lenders every single month. Now, private money lenders, depending on what you've negotiated with them, they may not expect monthly payments. They may just expect a flat payment when the property is sold. It all depends on what you negotiate. But the hard money lenders, they are expecting monthly payments every single month. And with interest rates in the 10s or in the 12s, the payments can get really expensive. And we've seen investors that get suffocated by those monthly payments, especially when there are delays. So I'm giving you all the good, the bad, the ugly of purchasing properties using hard money lenders, private money lenders, and how to fix and flip, and the ideal fix and flips. There are going to be investors that go out there and they purchase properties and they convert garages to ADU. They add bedrooms, and they do all these things without permits. And yes, it makes the property more attractive to people when they see those things, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to get a higher price. Because the county records are going to reflect what the county records are. And unless you get those additions, those modifications permitted, then really you're not going to be able to acknowledge it or compare them to other properties. So for instance, if I get a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and I go in there and I remodel it, and I add an extra bedroom and I add an extra bath, but I don't do it with permits, the bedroom and the bathroom are there. Okay, they are there. County doesn't recognize it. And when an appraiser comes out to go and appraise that property for the new buyer who's going to be purchasing that property, that appraiser is going to be and should be comparing that to other 2-bedroom, 1-baths. Even though there's an additional bedroom, even though there's an additional bathroom, they're going to be comparing it to other 2-bedroom, 1-baths, not 3-bedroom, 2-baths. Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that. And so you can't, and sellers don't know that. They assume that when sellers make modifications to a property, then they can just compare their property to other properties that have similar features, an extra bedroom, an extra bath, and it doesn't work that way. Another thing that sellers will say is, well, property was completely remodeled from the ground up last year. And so they want to compare their property, which has been remodeled from the ground up, in 2021 or 2022 or 23, whatever year you want to use. They want to compare it to new construction that was built in 2021 and 2023, even though the house may have been built in 1960. That will not work either. So don't fall into that trap of thinking that just because you purchased a property and you've remodeled it from the ground up, that you can now compare it to brand new construction, because it doesn't work that way. Even though you may have brand new electricity, brand new plumbing, brand new everything, the year built has still not changed unless you've done it with permits and you've demolished the property and it's brand new construction. And that is a whole nother beast that we're not going to even get into today. All we're talking about today is how to purchase a property with no money down, no money out of your pocket. And the best way to do that is by identifying a hard money lender and then identifying a private money lender and putting the deal together. And that is how you are going to do it. I'm checking for comments and I'm checking for questions so far, and I don't see anything right now. So I waxed pretty long on that. Another thing that I would like to cover is that when you are presenting the opportunity to the hard money lender and you've done your job and you're packaging this and you're showing it to them, they are going to ask for a scope of work, a scope of repairs. And typically they will have some type of a template of what that scope of work is or what that scope of repairs is. They may give you an Excel spreadsheet, and what they're going to ask you for are all the repairs or all the upgrades or the remodel that you're going to do to this property. So they're going to ask you for exterior paint, interior paint, new driveway, addition of central heat and air. And you're going to have to list all of the expenses that you are going to be putting into this property. And that is how you are going to quantify how much you are going to need for the repairs. So in my last example, I said it was a $500,000 house that once repaired would be worth $700,000, and it was going to cost us $75,000 in repairs. On your scope of work, on your scope of repairs, you're going to have to list all the items that are going to add up to $75,000 of repairs on that spreadsheet, and they will give it to you. And yes, you can estimate a little bit. Yes, you can, you can try to, guess on what some of those items are going to cost. But I will tell you that you do want to try to be as precise as possible, because they are going to hold you to that scope of work when you are going to go ask for draws. So we talked about this earlier. In the beginning, if you're going to be working an investment project or a flip like this with no money out of your pocket, the private money lender is probably going to come in and give you some money up front so that you could initiate those repairs. That is the first draw. You take those repairs, take that money, you complete those repairs, and then you ask for a property inspection from the hard money lender. The hard money lender is going to charge you for the inspection. Don't forget that. They're going to send an inspector to go out there and inspect the work that you've completed, and they're going to reference the scope of work that you provided them with on the Excel spreadsheet. So when you say we've completed phase one of whatever it might be, we completed the concrete leveling, the new driveway, the landscaping, and the new electrical, when you've shown them that, they will go back and reference the scope of work to see what the estimate was that you thought it was going to cost to complete those items. And then if it's marked as complete and the inspector says, yeah, they did these things, then they will send you that money that you stipulated in that scope of work. So it's important that you try to be as on point as possible as to the expense, which is why you might want a general contractor to give you an idea of what all these items are going to cost. When you go and you inspect the property, when you're in escrow, you have the contractor list everything out so that later on, when you're asking for the draws and they're referencing your scope of work, you're getting the exact amount of money that you estimated back. Right? I've made these mistakes. I know what that's like. I know when we've underestimated one area and overestimated another area. And then I had to go back to the hard money lenders and had them readjust our scope of work. And is it doable? It's doable. But does it make it more difficult? Does it make it more challenging? It does, especially if you're doing that after the fact. So my recommendation is make sure that your scope of work is as organized and as on point as possible. You may want to get a contractor to review it with you so that that way you know how much something is going to cost, or at least guesstimate with them what it will probably be in order to get it done. Now, do contractors overestimate sometimes just so that they could get paid more money? Of course they do. But again, if you put that on the scope of work, at least you can get the money back and you can pay your contractor, and then you can negotiate a price with your contractor, whatever it is that you want to do. But you still need to estimate what the cost to cure, the cost to remodel, the cost to rehab that property is going to be using that scope of work. So I hope that explains what it is that we're talking about. You know, these are some of the pitfalls that we've gone through, that some of the veterans have gone through, so we know exactly what it is like when you're purchasing a property with no money out of your pocket. And again, even though you're purchasing a property with no money out of your pocket, there are still closing costs, there are still points, and even private money lenders have certain costs associated with them. So for instance, yesterday, my guest on our virtual podcast interview, Brian, he is a private money lender, and what he was sharing was that he doesn't mind being in second or in third positions. And he doesn't mind loans anywhere between $50,000 to like $80,000, which is great. He does, I will share this, have a transaction coordinator that he employs to handle and facilitate all the paperwork. And there is an expense for that. And it is the borrower that pays that expense for him. I'm not going to go into those fees because that's not my place. But my point is there is a fee for it. So they don't have necessarily closing costs per se, but they still have transaction fees. So when you're doing this, even though you're purchasing no money down, you still have commissions or points that you have to pay to the hard money lender. You have closing costs that you have to pay for the purchase, and you may have transaction fees that you have to pay for the private money lender. And don't forget that you're going to have to pay inspection fees when the hard money lender is sending an inspector to go out there and inspect the work that you've done. All this and all these fees slowly eats into the profit. And then you still have to take into account the resale. So once a property has been purchased, it's been fixed, and then it's flipped, and it is now on the market and you're selling it, you have to take into account that there are going to be expenses. You're going to have to pay commissions, you're going to have to pay taxes, you're going to have to pay closing costs. And the average property is going to spend about 9% to sell. That is including everything. Some people say 10%. I think it's about 9%. So if the property sells for $700,000 in our example, a 9% cost, closing costs with commissions, taxes, everything, insurance, all that stuff, that's $63,000 in expenses, not taking into account the cost to repair and all the initial costs that we incurred, plus the monthly mortgage payments that have to be made to the hard money lender. So if you're holding on to a property for 6 months and your mortgage payments to the hard money lender are $4,000, that's $24,000. $24,000 in mortgage payments. So think about this: $63,000 in expenses to sell a property, plus $24,000 in mortgage payments. That's $87,000. When I was originally giving you our numbers, there was a lot more equity there that you weren't taking into account the additional expenses. So now let's rehash these numbers so that you can have a better understanding. And this is why investors are much more aggressive on the purchase, and why, as investors or wholesalers ourselves, we have difficulty dealing with investors because you're not looking at the numbers from their perspective. So we've just concluded that there's about $87,000 in additional expenses in closing costs to sell, plus $24,000 in monthly mortgage payments if the payments are roughly about $4,000. That's $87,000. Now remember that we also concluded that there was going to be about $17,000 in points to pay for the loan. So plus $17,000 for the loan. That's $104,000 now. Plus, we're also going to have to pay another, I think it was like $5,000 in closing costs from the acquisition, plus $5,000. Now we're at $109,000 in expenses. Plus, there's $75,000 in repairs. Now we're at $184,000. $184,000. Now we purchased the property for $500,000. Now we're at $684,000. $684,000, and we think the ARV is $700,000. So really, you're looking at a profit of maybe $16,000 for a fix and flip that took you 4 to 6 months to purchase. Now, mind you, you did it without any money of your own. There's no money out of your pocket. So you're still making a $16,000 profit. Most investors would probably walk away from a project like this. They would probably not do a project like this because the numbers just don't make sense. So they either have to get it at a lower price, or they either have to get it a property that requires less repairs, or they have to get a property whose ARV is much higher. But that is why I'm giving you real world examples, and I still haven't taken into account the potential transaction fees or the inspection fees that you have to pay. Let's say you've got to go through 3 inspections for the hard money lender. Now you're in it another $1,200. Then you got other potential transaction fees for the private money lender. So my point is that you've got all these fees on here. That deal may not make sense whatsoever for the average investor, because these are all the fees that you have to take into account. Can you buy this with no money down? Absolutely. Should you buy this with no money down? Maybe not. So that is why it is very important that you know your numbers well. It is important that you know what the acquisition price should be. It is important that you run comps so that you understand what the disposition price is going to be, what the exit strategy is going to be when you sell the property. because you're going to need to get the hard money lender paid, and you're going to need to get the private money lender paid, and there are going to be monthly payments every single month that are going to occur as well. So again, you can buy a property, especially a fix and flip. Now, if you're going to do a buy and hold property, it may be a little bit more difficult to do it with no money out of your pocket, unless you do it as a subject to or as a seller finance. So if you do it as a subject to or a seller finance, then you can still probably purchase the property with no money out of your pocket if you negotiate the deal right. So if you negotiate the deal with the seller as a seller finance and you say, look, no money down, I don't know too many sellers that are going to be okay with it, but you could potentially do that, especially if it's a subject to. And you pay all their closing costs. Now, if it's a seller finance, they're probably not going to do that. They're going to want some type of down payment. That's where the private money lender can come in. So you can work with the private money lender to help with the down payment. And what you can do is explain to the private money lender that you are going to either refinance or sell the property within 2 or 3 years. They may or may not want to hold on to the property that long. So there's going to have to be some type of a strategy. You're going to need some kind of a strategy to get this going. So keep that in mind. The no money out of pocket works with the fix and flips. You can do it with the subject twos. You can do it with the seller finance. And if you're going to use private money lending, what you can also do is you can purchase it and you can create some type of an equity partnership. And that private money lender might be open to that. So depending on how you structure the deal, where you say, look, we can buy this property together, we can Airbnb it, or we can rent it out. We're going to positive cash flow about $500 a month for the first 12 months. That $500 goes to you, and then we can either sell the property or we can try to refinance it and pay you back. That is another strategy that you can try to use. The good thing about working with private money lenders is that you can get creative with them as well. They just want to figure out how they're going to get their money back and how you're going to pay any type of profit or equity position back to them. Okay, it's 9:44 and I am losing my voice. So I covered a lot on the hard money side, private money side, how to purchase, fix and flips, why you need to know your numbers. I'm going to check for comments just to make sure that everybody understands what we're doing. I don't see any comments right now. I will also research why it's not showing up on our group page. I want everyone to know as well that we are now offering private group coaching, and I'll share this on our site. Just so that everybody sees it. So we're looking at our website now. And if you go to mentorship and you go to private group coaching, you can get a 7-day free access trial. So what has happened is that it's not a reflection of anybody involved, just a reflection of my time constraints. Because of my time constraints, it makes it difficult for me to really respond to everybody and work with everybody and help coach everybody with all the messages that I get. So what we did was we created a private coaching group outside of our public Facebook group. So our public Facebook group is public. Everybody can work there. We can all share details. I'll go on there frequently and share information. But we're going to have a private group coaching that is going to get much more attention. They're going to have more dedicated time to it because, again, it's just my time is limited, so it makes it more difficult for me to work with everybody. And so this way, we get the people who are really serious about building their business. And so just so you know, you get 7 days free access. You can go in here, you can log in. It's $75 a month. So if the value that we provide is not worth $75 a month for you to get group coaching and for you to get someone to help you and for you to get someone to comp your deals and to review the deals with you, if that's not worth it, I don't know what is. I'm sorry. So for $75 a month, you get access to this. We have our own private Slack channel just for the private group coaching, or you could pay for the year and it's $600 and you're done. And you take care of it if you do it yearly, and you don't have to worry about it. Now you got the rest of the year and you have access to us, and we're going to be much more responsive. Of course, we would. We would be more responsive to the people that have paid and committed to building their business. So I just want to share that with everybody so that you understand that it's really easy to find. You go to our website dispodragons.com, you click on mentorship, and then you go to private group coaching. Now, if people want one-on-one coaching, you can click on that. There's a special form to fill out. We're way more selective about the people that we're doing one-on-one coaching, just because, again, because of the time commitment. If I'm going to be spending a few hours a day with someone, coaching them on one-on-one, I want to make sure that that they're committed. So there's an application to do that. But for private group coaching, $75 a month, that's it, and you get access to all the stuff that we're doing, and we will teach you everything you need to know so that you can succeed. All right, so we will continue to do the once a week public Facebook group trainings. I'm going to shift that from twice a week now. Instead of Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I'm probably just going to do it only on Wednesdays, just because of my time. So that's coming down the pipeline. I did tell people about this a few months ago, and I was preparing everybody for this. I knew that this was coming just because I could see what was happening with my time and how I was being pulled in a lot of different directions. But now what's going to happen is our Facebook training, our free public trainings are going to happen on Wednesdays. And our private group coaching will happen almost every day in Slack, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday during the week, and we'll be comping and doing all types of other stuff. And I will continue to have guest speakers on our public Facebook group as well. So don't think that just because we're doing this, you shouldn't log into the public Facebook group. Trust me, I'm bringing value to make sure that everybody succeeds. It doesn't matter where you are in your journey on this, okay? So that's my time for today. It's 9:50. I'm done a little bit early. Let me stop the share. Hopefully, I'm channeling my inner Alex Hermosi with the flannel. Hopefully, you felt it. I will be back. If you need me, reach out to me. You can message me. You can message me through the Facebook group. You can text me for those of you who have my contact information. We still work together. Absolutely, 100%. I just want to make sure that I dedicate my time to the people that are committed to it as well. Okay, so it is 9:50. Have a great day. Let's get to work. Hopefully you saw value in this video. I think I opened your eyes up to purchasing with no money out of your pocket, but what it's going to cost you and what it's going to do to your profits, and how you have to make sure that you understand your numbers really, really well. All right. Have a great Wednesday, guys. We'll talk soon. Take care. Bye.